Hi, this is Aaron Reed. I'm a systems engineer here at VergeIO, and in this video we're going to go through how to set up an LACP networking as part of the install for your external network access into your local area network. So to go ahead and get started, I'm already at my install prompt, and here you can see that I'm installing my first primary controller. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And then when it asks me, is this a new install, I'll click yes, because this is my first controller. And here I'm just going to take the defaults, so I'm going to go ahead and click on America, and we'll click Detroit. I'll go ahead and take the default NTP servers. You can enter your own NTP servers, but these default ones work fine. Here I'll take the default date, the time, and it says enter a name for this system, so we're going to go ahead and call it VergeIO-cloud. Then I'll click OK, and then I'll take my default admin account name. You can rename that if you want, but no need to for the demo purpose. Type my password twice, and then enter my email in case I need any alerts. Now here's the tricky part. So in our environment, we always want to see two physical networks for our vSAN networking. That's what we call our core networks. So I'm going to need two networks for that. And then for my external network, that's going to be a single network going over an LACP bond. So that's three networks. And by default, what we do is we pick up all of the physical ports, NIC ports on the system, and we'll display those here as options for your network. So because I'm only going to set up three networks, I'll just select three here. But when I click into this, you'll see actually 4 active ports. So here's my 4 active ports. Now the first thing I'll do is I'll set up one of my core networks. So I'm going to click on that first 10 gig port at the top. One thing I would like to show here is if you can see the 4 network interface cards or NICs, you can see they all have that little star asterisk next to them. That means they're active on the network switch connecting to the server. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now on this first switch, I'm going to edit that switch name, and I'm going to call that Core 1. I don't have to do that, but just for reference, I'll actually call it Phys Core 1, because that's my physical core network. And then the rest is good, so I'll go ahead and go to Finish. And then I'm going to select my second 10 gig network and click OK. And then I'm going to rename that guy the same way. So this one's going to be called Phys Core 2. My MTU 9192 is good because that is where our storage will go across in my core network. Yes, I'll go ahead and click Finish. Now for my third network, this is my LACP bond. You can see I have the first 1 gig port selected. So I'm also going to go down to the bottom 1 gig port and select that. So now that means that I'm going to put 2 ports into this network. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And for here we have 2 options. We can do active backup. That's our built-in if you're not using LACP, if you still want redundancy. Or I can use the standard, the 802.3. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that 802.3 standard, click select there, and then we'll call this my external LACP network. I'll click OK on that. Down here, I don't need the 9192 for jumbo frames, so I'm just going to change that to the standard 1500 MTU size. And then also, for the core network, this isn't a core network. This is our external network going out to your local area network. So I'm just going to say no here. And then you'll see once I say no on that, it actually takes the VLAN out because it sees it's not a core network. And I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Now the next window asks me, where do I want? Please select the physical network. That's the one that we just created that will provide the external networks for your UI, your local area network, and your WAN access. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the default, which is that bottom one there. If you see me highlight it, click OK. I don't have a VLAN ID tied to this LACP, but if I did, I could enter it here. I'm just going to use the default VLAN, so I'll go ahead and click OK. Now here for my IP address, I'm going to go use one of my local LAN IPs. You'll also have to put the CIDR in there. I'll go ahead and click OK. I'm going to double check my gateway because my gateway is a 2.1. I'll click OK there. And then my DNS. And then I'll also enter in Google's DNS as well, just in case I have to test anything going out. I click OK, and then I'm done. And that's pretty much it for doing the initial install of the networking piece. And I'll go ahead and click OK out of here. So after you go through the install and complete it and your server reboots, you basically bring up your browser and you put in the IP address that you set for that external network. That's 192.168.3.33. And then from here, I'll go ahead and log in as that admin and the password that we entered. And I hit enter, it submits it, and it logs me right into the UI for the VergeIO cloud. And you can see the VergeIO cloud right up here at the top. Now to confirm the network settings that we set up during the install, I simply come over here to my networks button, I click on networks, and then I'm going to come over here to my all networks button, click on all networks. And here you can see I have my 3 default networks. I have my DMZ, my core, and my external network. And that external network is pointing to that 192.168.3.33 IP address for the UI access for our management UI. And that it points to that external LACP bond 1. And so when we set up the LACP network, it created 2 bonds. It created the external LACP bond 1 and LACP bond 2. And here you can see where LACP bond 2 connects to LACP bond 1. And the MTU size is your standard 1500 MTU connecting out to your local area network. And that's pretty much it. So thanks for joining on the call, and that's how you set up an LACP bond for your external network on your VergeIO cloud. Thanks.